What's going on, everyone? It's Marco Hanna, and this thing right here is a point-and-shoot camera. And while you guys don't see many of these things on the YouTube channel here at Phone Dog, this is a very special camera, and it's one of the best, if not the best, video camera for under $1,000. Now, before I get into my full review of the RX100 Mark IV, I have to bring up this thing right here. Now, this is a smartphone. In this case, it's the Galaxy Note 5. Now, like most typical flagship smartphones, excluding the iPhone, we have 4K UHD video recording as a feature. This one happens to be one of the best in the mobile business. Having 4K UHD video at 30 frames per second, it delivers really good content. The problem is, it's still a mobile phone. The sensor is not very big, the low light performance isn't spectacular, and the video has a small amount of over-sharpening filters. You probably get moire and all these types of things that you really don't want in your video. Now, while having UHD video on a mobile phone is very practical, it's not the best result. And, well, this camera is made for people who want the best result in 4K video. So the story of the RX100 is pretty simple. Now, I won't bore you with all the specs of these things because, well, most of you guys aren't really big camera people, but I will mention one thing. This thing has an inch sensor, which is a lot larger than, say, your normal Samsung Galaxy Note 5 sensor. And secondly, it's a stacked CMOS sensor, which means that everything is stacked on top of each other, which lets more light in through the camera, which means low light on this camera is spectacular. Now, this camera isn't really aimed at the professional photographer, it's really aimed at people who like to make videos. Now, if you do take photos, you're not going to be disappointed, but you're also not going to be impressed of this camera. It does deliver 20.1 megapixel photos, and they do look really good for a point-and-shoot camera. Now, the real magic of this RX100 really lies in the videos. One, it does shoot 4K UHD video, but what's really different with this camera is it shoots 4K UHD video at 100 megabits per second in the Sony XAVC format. It's not the best format to work with, but it's definitely better than, say, your H.264 or your AVC HD that used to be plaguing cameras of like a couple years ago, and the result is spectacular. The 4K UHD video looks really, really good. Now, a lot of you probably know that I used to shoot my videos on a Panasonic GH4, and I can't believe I'm saying this about a Sony product because I'm not the biggest fan of Sony right now, but the 4K video off this thing is pretty much as good or even slightly better than the GH4, especially in low light. Now, one big party trick the RX100 Mark IV has is the ability to shoot in log. Now, if you don't know what log is, don't worry. If people do know what log is, you will really enjoy this. Basically, what log is a flat profile that pushes up the shadows, that crushes in the highlights. It kind of gives you a very ugly and not very pleasing video. For example, I'm shooting my video currently in a log profile. If we go from graded, which is right now, to ungraded, you definitely like looking at the graded image more. Now, the RX100 will deliver that to you, which means that you can actually go in post and start grading the video, and it really won't fall apart. I mean, obviously, if you push it a lot, it's still going to fall apart because it is a compressed codec, but my most favorite part of the RX100 is this viewfinder. It has 2.3 million dots in it. It's unbelievably good. It looks so good that it almost feels you to be an optical viewfinder. Now, the only thing that I don't like about the viewfinder is that it is pretty small and you have to kind of crunch your eye, and it's not very comfortable to use. It doesn't have a big rubber eye cup, but it's really amazing that they can fit one of these things in a camera so small. Now, everything about the RX100 isn't exactly solid. There are a couple of problems. One of them being that you can only shoot UHD video at 5-minute increments. Not because the taxation of having a video camera in a camera, it's more of the sensor and the heat dissipation. This thing gets really, really hot. 5 minutes of 4K video will make this thing maybe around 115 degrees, and while the sensor can't handle all of that heat in such a small package, so it will lock you out after taking 5-minute video 4K UHD video. Now, you can shoot longer video in 1080p, but again, you won't get that 4K UHD video quality. And the other chief complaint I have with the RX100 is the battery life. While taking photos and normal 1080p video, you can probably average around a couple hours of battery life. When you take 4K UHD video, like most of you will probably do, the battery will be dead in less than 45 minutes. Now, fortunately, batteries aren't very expensive. You can buy spare ones, but it is kind of a hassle because, say, if you have this thing mounted on a tripod, you have to dismount it from the tripod head, take out the battery, and place a new one. It's not side mounted like DSLRs. You kind of have to it's kind of very tedious to do that. If you guys are interested in purchasing the RX100 or want more information about the RX100, make sure to check out the B&H link below. That's where I picked up my RX100. They are great people and they delivered really well. And if you live outside New York, you get no tax, so it's a win-win. But anyway, guys, I know this isn't a typical Phone Dog video reviewing a camera like this, but it's definitely a camera that I really do recommend if you want to do 4K video, especially for a lot of tech people on YouTube that want to start their channel and go into 4K. And the good thing is, if you don't need 4K right now, the RX100 Mark III, the RX100 Mark II, and even the Mark I are still being sold right now, and they're less expensive than this camera. This one goes around $948 right now, which is a lot of money, but you can get an RX100 Mark III for a lot less. So I'll also leave a link to that camera as well in the description. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching my review about this camera. Make sure to leave some comments below. And as always, my name is Marco Hanna, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.